Alright, welcome back to the part 3 of this webinar. Everything you need to know about immigration to Canada from Africa. In the last session, we talked about we entered into the midst of this discussion proper, and we talked about why Canada needed immigrants, the pros and the cons, the rest of them, and then we're able to touch the last part, which is express entry. So we're going to go to the second part now, alright, of the different Canada immigration programs. And then the second one would be the Provincial Nominee Program. Provincial Nominee Program, it's popularly called the PMP. Now, this works almost the same way as the express entry. The only difference is that the regions or states in Nigeria, we would call them states, but in Canada they are called provinces. So these provinces are allowed to, pick immigrants from the pool of express entry applications. So pick people who meet their own specific criteria. But then this is after the central of the Canada immigration program has selected those who are highest, who have the best scores, CRS scores. Okay, so when they have selected those who have had the best, so whichever is left from the pool of the people left, program to nominate people who meet the needs of their economy, their specific needs, right? Who they feel will be able to, fill the gaps that they have in their regions in terms of labor force, alright? So they would nominate them within that pool. So they don't need a separate application. So when you are nominated by this province will now open a separate application for you, which is specifically to provide your information for them in their own website and the rest of them. So this is actually a very popular way to immigrate to Canada. So it has the same criteria. That means you have to have a degree, you have to be a graduate, and the higher the degree you have, master's or PhD, the higher your chances of survival of being nominated. Okay, so also just the same thing as with express entry. If you have families, you would have a higher score. If you have a relative in Canada, you would have a higher score. So there is also need for proof of funds, okay, which is also very, very high, but not as high as what is obtainable with the express entry. Okay, so these ones are now determined. The proof of fund is determined by the region that nominates you in their program to join them. Aside people, these provinces coming to pick from the pool of express entry, some of them also have their provincial programs, like the Atlantic Immigration Pilot Program, AIPP, okay, which is a separate program on its own that you have to apply separately. And most of the time, they are looking for people who are not so much high skilled, like in the case of the express entry, unlike in the case of express entry. They are looking for low skilled workers. So because they know they can't find them here, they have created a special program. But I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about Canada provincial nominee programs in general. So provinces in Canada are allowed to nominate candidates from the express entry pool who meet their individual criteria and needs to apply to their provinces for permanent residence. So it's important to know that both for express entry and provincial nominee, what you're getting is a permanent residence. Right from your country, you would have been given a permanent residence before you move to Canada, but there is no job guarantee. Okay, most of them will land in Canada without a job. In fact, that's why they need high proof of funds, because you would get to Canada and then you start searching for jobs. That is one of the disadvantages, aside the fact that it has high proof of funds and the competition is so high. But then you have to get to Canada and start searching for job. The only advantage it has that it's a high skill job, so if you're picked, there is a very high likelihood that there is need for you, so it's just for you to find those companies or organizations that need your services. Alright, so another important immigration program about is the student permit. Now this is the easiest way to immigrate to Canada because the documentation required are much minimal. Alright, unlike all other programs for immigration, you don't require a lot of documentation to get a student permit. Alright, all you need is to get admission. If you want a scholarship, you now look for scholarships that are within and then that are available for you. If you get a scholarship, if the scholarship requires that you get a study permit, so okay, let's get it. You get an admission, you apply for study permit. When you get study permit, you now apply for scholarships if you want. But if you don't want scholarship, you have money and enough money to fund yourself, you will start, writing letters of to prove that okay, when you finish your study in Canada, you're returning to the country. Just a few documentation here and there. Get your credentials from your former schools or the school where you're schooling, and then get them to Canada and the rest of them. So with that, if you can prove that you have enough money to pay your tuition fee and also sustain yourself for the period of your study. If you're studying for 1 year, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, you have to prove that you have money. In the case that you do not have a scholarship, but if you have a scholarship, you will not need to prove anything to them. Alright, so that is how this works. I want to show you something. I'm going to get out of this slide and show you why study permit is very close. Include it in this slide, but somehow I forgot. But then look at this chart. I collected it from Moving to Canada. Alright, so see this is annual admission to Canada. It's a summary of yearly admission to Canada through different programs. There is PMP, as you can see. There is express entry. There is plenty other immigration programs, the most popular ones anyway. But look at student study permits. 34%, which is the highest. Look at the yellow chamber. So 34%, which is the highest. So this is the largest. The number of people, more people enter into Canada through study permits more than any other immigration pathway. So, but why is this very important? This is very important because if you are a student in Canada, if you studied in Canada, you have a higher chance of, getting through any of the other pathways, getting to Canada through any of the other pathways than someone who is just coming from fresh. Canada has special arrangement for people who have studied in Canada. Alright, who have studied in Canada. In all of the programs, you would see a special arrangement for those who have studied in Canada. Their criteria is different and is much easier for them to just apply. So that is why this is very important. So if you have been trying plenty things, you have tried or you're trying plenty, or you have tried or you're going to be trying plenty things and it's not working for you, try and see, okay, look for CHIPS University, which is why I'm giving you a gift about cheap universities in Canada that you can get admission to easily. Look for scholarships if it's possible. If you can't get scholarship, look for how to raise more money, the amount they are asking for, pay for the school fees, and then you go there. Actually, there is a way some smart Nigerians do it. Alright, some of them get to Canada to study, and then because they find a way around, proving that they have money, meanwhile they don't have. So they get there, they pause their education, because actually you can pause your schooling. They pause their education and then they go and look for work. They work part-time and then they make, like I told you, minimum wage is 12. So minimum you can make in Canada is around 1,500 per month, $500 Canadian dollars per month. So with that amount of money, if you have worked if you have worked overtime and you're working in maybe if you're working in 2 jobs, you find out that you could be making like $3,000 a month. All right, so I'm giving you a very high secret. So you can be working on 2 jobs at a time. All right, part-time, because these guys are just hustling, and that's how they do it. When they have finished, maybe they have worked for 6 months, $3,000. I'm making assumptions now, which is the least you can earn in a month. 1,500. I mean, if you're working on 2 jobs, that means $3,000 for 6 months. How much is it? We'll be able to save enough money to pay tuition fees, sometimes $5,000, $3,000, and then they go back to school and finish their school. Whatever is left, they use to sustain themselves, and then immediately they finish. Some of them too, if your study is not so tedious, you can even be doing some part-time jobs, right, while you are studying, and that way they are able to sustain themselves. That is what happens, how it happens in a country that has opportunities, right? So that's why you should value the gifts I've given to you free of charge. I could charge as much as 20,000 or 15,000, whatever I even think, for those gifts I've given you, but then they are free for you for attending this webinar. All right, so that is for those who attended live. If you're watching this replay, I'm sorry you have missed it. All right, so without scholarship or fellowship, it has a serious financial implication, which is what I have expressed. So let's use the next. Okay, this is going to be huge. I may not want to dabble into this now. You may have to wait for the second part. So like I was saying about this student permit. Okay, so look at a plan like this. You have tried several other programs, they are not working, and then you have some money that you have saved up, okay, to pursue this dream of yours of moving to Canada. All right, and then you have degrees you have acquired. I'm sure probably you have written IELTS. If you have been doing all these things, you have written IELTS, and your IELTS the time is counting, because for most of the programs they don't accept IELTS exams that are older than 2 years. So some 5 years, some 3 years, okay. So and then you have done your ECA evaluation. These things cost you money. So instead of waiting on programs that are not working for you, why not be smart or try to go around it by looking for universities? Very easy to get admissions. Very easy to get admission. Why? It may be difficult if you're looking for scholarship, if you're insisting on scholarships or fellowship. But if you can save up some money, that will enable you pay some parts of your school fees. There are some universities that accept part payment. You have a list of people, okay, list of universities that are cheap. Target those universities, okay. Target the universities. If you don't have IELTS, you can target those ones. You have not written your IELTS, you can target those ones that don't require IELTS. And then if you want scholarship, look at the link distance I've given to you and use universities and apply through scholarships. Some of the scholarships are as high as $6,000 per annum, $6,000 per annum. Some are as high as $60,000. All right, in cumulative, everything for the period of your study. All right, so you can just do that and then work smart. Find a way, betting on the plan you have. Maybe I'm going to do a separate video on study permit, so that you will really understand how you could do around this. See, the thing is that if you have a goal to achieve, you have determined that, okay, I want to do this, you work towards it. There are several ways you could go about it and achieve your results. So in the next part 4, right? Yes, this is part 3. So part 4, we're going to discuss the home child care, and then the rural and northern Canada immigration. So I've discussed 3, it's remaining those 2. So see you then.